latest campaign, we have found that there are a lot of retired military that are so disgusted at Biden and what he's doing around the world, where the bases that they served on are not safe anymore because of Biden's policies, and they're all deciding to run for office all around the country. We are developing a Veterans Patriot campaign where veterans that are running for office that have the skills, we're going to help them develop the skills, teach them how to get voters to like them, teach about the issues that they need to run on. And we actually had 2 of these veteran patriots that won their races, but it was stolen from them, that came so close to winning that we're going to push them over the top this time. So I expect us to get at least 2 Black, Latin, and Asian females elected, at least 2 more, whether the NRC helps or whether the NRSC helps or whether the GOP helps. We're going to do this on our own. No, I mean, we're going to pray about it. We're going to get it done. We're going to make this country better because they share GOP values, but GOP, they're not helping them win. So we got to step up and do it.
Amen. For those that are tuning in, you're listening to the Chauncey Show, where we're always right, never left. We put God first and politics second, and we're honored and blessed to have in the studio today George Farrell, who was the CEO and founder of BlakPac, Black, Latin, Asians Political Action Committee, helping minority candidates and all candidates get elected. George, as I was listening to you talk about earlier about the GOP not having any black leadership and not answering your call for assistance to help these districts on the ground, over the past month, I've had white candidates on my show that have experienced the same problem from the GOP. No help, no money. They don't tell them about different events. So this, of course, it's probably a racial thing, but it's also a power thing. And we saw this with Donald Trump. These people want to mass and control power, and anyone who is not in lockstep with the Republican narrative, they're not going to support. You just mentioned veterans. 2 veterans on my show this past month that were both white and that both can't get help from the GOP. But they don't subscribe to that. Exactly. If you don't subscribe to that lockstep narrative, I don't care if you're black or white, they are not going to, they don't want to be bothered with you. And that's a problem. Because historically, when you talk about the Republican Party, its history of dealing with race, black folks, inclusion, they are doing the opposite in which the history of our forefathers wrote in the establishment of this Republican Party. And these rhino leaders are going to be exposed. We have to replace them. See, the problem is corporate money. As you know, in politics, people are able to stay in power because of the corporate donations that they receive to maintain power. So then at the end of the day, when they get their people elected, then they could benefit from these contracts. See, that's the reality, people. And the candidates that George and I support want to do what is right by you and not by special interests. That is the challenge that we all face. That is the reality. Corporate greed and power and money. And until we all come together, and George's organization, everyone, needs money. And we're not telling you to send 1,000, 500. Listen, we need help. $2 a month, $5 one time, whatever you can do. Every little bit helps for the mission for us to save our community, save our state, and save our nation. Okay? And this is what George is fighting for. Him and his organization are fighting for us, the people. And George is talking about the challenges that we're facing within our own party. They're not opening their checks to candidates or other political action committees doing the groundwork, helping conservative, Republicans, constitutionalists, American First candidates get elected. That's our challenge, people. And I know it sounds like, we're always asking for money, but we need the money to compete against these people. And if everybody chips in $1, if a million people chipped in $1, George, we got $1 million to work with.
Absolutely.
Real quickly, George, before you continue, share your donate link while we're talking about it. If people want to send $1, $2, if they want to make a monthly contribution, please, George, share that information before we continue, and then you can share it again at the end of the show.
All right. Our website is www.blakpac.gop. Again, that's www.blakpac.gop. And if you go to that page, you'll see a link that says donate. Hit the donate button. Donate whatever you can. There's a button for sustaining, so you can donate every month without thinking about it. Whatever you can spare will help us. Will help us get these veteran candidates, these veteran patriots elected. Will help us because we're going head to head against Black Lives Matter, which raised over $1 billion from corporations and everybody else. And we're going head to head with them. We've beat them in Georgia. We've beat them in Florida. We've beat them because they're farce. And we go head to head with them with little to no money because, they're spending it, as you have seen, on large houses and fancy cars. Some of them are actually being jailed for fraud and have disappeared. Their European leader has gone to jail in England. But we compete with them head to head. There's no other organization that can compete with them. And there's no other organization that's effective at competing directly with the Democratic Party. So, again, our website is www.blakpac.gop. And, again, we're flipping states red. We flipped Georgia red with Brian Kemp. He won by 64,000 votes. These are facts. We're getting states red and keeping them red, but we have to do it by expanding base and expanding the party so that the party looks like the people who are voting. We can't just ask people to vote for us when they don't see people that look like them in leadership. So I'm begging the NRSC and I'm begging the GOP, open up your leadership and not just with a token here and a token there. Put some real leadership in place and some decision making. Sometimes I feel like I'm looking at an old movie called The Spook That Sat Beside the Door. I don't know if you remember that old movie or The Watermelon Man or something like. We haven't moved
George,
forward.
I'm old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember. Some people might be. Anyway, go ahead, George.
But we need to move past the Watermelon Man where you have one black guy and put him in an office and don't talk and leave him alone. We got to get past that. We got to get past all this stuff and really start bringing the United States and America together because we can't do that. We can't move forward. We need to bring this party together. I know with our tactics and what we teach people, we can win 22 to 25% of the black vote on a consistent basis. We can win 65% of the Hispanic and Latino vote on a consistent basis, and we can win 100% of the Asian vote because we share their values. They will vote their values, but we got to get out there and show them that we have the same values. We can't just have events at country clubs. We got, a lot of our candidates, I got to tell them, stop wearing a tie and wear a T-shirt. Get out there with a T-shirt and shake some hands and hand out those T-shirts so that people can see that you're not a stuffy guy that can't relate to people. Stop wearing ties everywhere. So we're getting people. That's one of the things we teach. We try to get people, we know it's cold right now, but go out in a T-shirt and give some T-shirts away. T-shirts are walking billboards. So we want you to get out there in some T-shirts and not just have a tie on.
Thank you, George. Those things are very, very important.
I apologize if I sound passionate, but I am passionate because that's what keeps me going. That and prayer.
Amen. Amen. That's what we need right now. We need passionate people that are God-fearing at this time because we're in a spiritual warfare right now, George. and all we got is passion and God. But that's going to save us at the end of the day. Like you just talked about how, with little or no money, how you beat Black Lives Matter and Antifa in those particular cities and districts.
Yeah,
money,
and they were giving away T-shirts. They were giving away stuff. And we go in and we knock on doors and say, hey, are you pro-life? Are you pro-Second Amendment? Do you think they should take your guns? Crime is going crazy. Don't you think you should have some self-protection? People believe in that. Do you believe that you should have the ability to choose the school that your child goes to? I've had liberal college professors that who didn't believe in the Republican Party until their 5 or 6 year old child. This has recently happened on Halloween. Their 5 or 6 year child son was told he could come back to school for Halloween and dress as a fairy, and they were encouraging his boy to dress as a fairy, and took the note home to his parents and said, "Have your son dress as a fairy." And he went the next day and pulled out his son. He said, "I didn't believe that they're pushing this homosexual agenda in kindergarten and younger." But they are. The liberals are pushing this agenda, this pro-gay agenda, as young as first and second grade. And you should have the ability to say, no, I don't want my son or daughter to be taught that. Heck, I mean, I'm old, but I didn't really know what a homosexual was until I was in my 20s.
At least
I heard about it
at
from
least
Richard
in high
Pryor.
It's sad. It's sad that that public schools want to talk about sex to our children before a parent. Give me an opportunity to talk to my children. First of all, let my children be children. But to take that right away from me to parent my child, see, government is trying to play daddy and mommy, okay, for everybody. And as we know, God says, don't mess with our children. That's our most precious resource. And Satan is rearing his head, coming right after our children with this satanic, sick, homosexual, transgender, whatever you want to call it, agenda that is immoral and unjust for innocent children. You can choose what you want as an adult, but to impose your warped minds on children, no. God will not be mocked, and every man will reap what he sows, okay? And you're right, George, everybody. The problem that I have is where's all this Democratic, liberal, Christian leadership standing up against this nonsense? Where's the black church? Where are the churches in general standing up against this immoral behavior, sick behavior? See, that's the part that disgusts me as we look at the whole political dynamic, is these churches are collecting billions of dollars every year, but they don't stand up on any moral issues that impact children, homeless people, drug addicts, mentally ill. Where are they? But they'll stand up to say, I endorse this political candidate. When are you going to stand up for children, homeless people, drug addicts, the mentally ill? When is the church going to be like the church was, especially within the black community, 40s, 50s, and 60s? That was the cornerstone of the communities and neighborhoods. But these people are driving around in $100,000 cars, wearing flashy suits on TV. These are all fake disciples.
Man, all the first black congressmen came out of the black church and were conservative. Floyd Flake from New York was conservative. I know that Kwesi Mfume is conservative. He's a Muslim. He has 7 children. I know he doesn't believe in abortion, but they're not speaking up. These are leaders in the black leaders in the Democratic Party are not speaking up because they're afraid the money will be cut off. And they can't win. They need to just run on their values. And you know, if there was leadership in the Republican Party, they would approach these leaders that they know are conservative and get them to switch over. You know, I flipped more Democrats to